There are oral arguments at the Supreme Court today. The question is whether the Biden administration can force millions of American citizens to take medicine they don't want or need. Now, Justice Sotomayor, who by all accounts is not a super genius, to put it mildly, showed up with no facts at all. Sotomayor proceeded to claim that COVID deaths are at an all-time high. That's untrue. That Omicron is deadlier than Delta. That's just insane. And that 100,000 American children are currently hospitalized with the virus. Like, where does that come from? What is she reading? Get off Twitter, Sotomayor. Eric Schmitt is the Attorney General of the state of Missouri. His office has argued against the mandate at the court today, along with the state of Louisiana. Eric Schmitt joins us tonight. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm not going to put you in a position to criticize a sitting Supreme Court justice, but I have to ask, do you think that your attempt to invalidate these unconstitutional mandates will be successful?
I do. I mean, I think this is one of the most consequential cases the Supreme Court's ever heard. I mean, this was a showdown today, especially if you care about individual liberty and personal freedom, because it comes down to this central question, Tucker. Can unelected bureaucrats, without any constitutional or statutory authority, force a medical procedure on 100 million Americans? The answer to that should be no. And by the way, the scary thing here is, if they are successful, if Biden is successful, there's no limiting principle here. There's no limiting principle for these agencies. For example, with climate change, why wouldn't he just, it's an existential threat. We're at a tipping point. Department of Transportation and the EPA weaponize them to go tell you what you can drive, when you can drive, and for how long. And mark my words, Tucker, we're probably a couple months away from the midterm variant where it's not safe to vote in person. And we've got mass, mail-in balloting, and political operatives got to collect grandma's ballot. I mean, the pathway to tyranny is paved with these kinds of emergency executive orders, which is why this case is so important.
Especially when the boosters aren't working. I mean, there's evidence that people who get the booster are more likely to get the latest variant. So, I mean, this is truly scary behavior. And I'm wondering if I'm reading it correctly, it's just you and the AG from Louisiana. There are a lot of Republican attorneys general. Why aren't they joining you in this?
Well, there are a lot. No, to be clear, a lot of these were separated into different circuits and then consolidated. Okay. So there's a number of Republican AGs. Missouri led the charge. Louisiana helped lead the charge, too. And so we just had the opportunity to present on the OSHA and the CMS mandate. But again, you think about this, Tucker, and Justice Kagan mentioned this, that she didn't know a lot about rural America. The reality here is, rural hospitals are going to close. Rural nursing homes will close. That patient with dementia is going to end up in a place he's not familiar with. Somebody's going to have to go a couple hundred miles for a heart procedure, all because the bureaucrats in D.C. at their cocktail parties don't ever consider the consequences for real America. And that's what this is about, in addition to the fact that this is in a broad expanse of authority for administrative agencies. I don't think we want to have a country where the administrative state is that powerful, which is, again, why I think this case is so important.
I agree with you completely, and I'm grateful that you're doing it. Eric Schmitt, the Attorney General of the state of Missouri, thank you.
Thanks, Tucker.